Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My 2 cent Nintendo/gaming video for this week, where I take a look at a couple of stories that caught my attention this week and give you my thoughts and my opinion for it. Though for this one, it will be for the week for August 9th to 11th, and we got 5 stories really to cover, including that it turns out WB Games will not be up for sale as some people thought it would be. Apparently there is some revolt against EA's, top executive receiving bonuses and all that stuff. We've learned a little bit about some information in terms of an update fix for Paper Mario, but a new bug has emerged to even a random picture about Mario that has sort of raised speculations about the whole rumored about Mario 3D collection, all that stuff. We also talk about, Xbox Series X, and one of the games that apparently has now been delayed and will not meet its launch date. And of course, some controversy with the DLCs, particularly with the Fairy Tail game and the Marvel's Avengers. So before we get started, those we'll do what it's called the quick My 2 cent part. Stories that somewhat caught my attention, but I'm not really going to go into a whole bunch of details on all that stuff. The first one is that we learned that it's supposedly a leaked release about the possibility that a Switch version of Crash Bandicoot 4 could be happening, though. While there's no official confirmation at this time, I would say it wouldn't surprise me if we see Activision doing what they did with Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, and same with Spyro Reunited Trilogy, where basically they released those games after, the PS4 version came out, that later would come to the other versions as well. So it is possible this game could come to the Nintendo Switch. Supposedly I heard Insane Trilogy did sell well on the Nintendo Switch, so hopefully we'll find out for certain on that. But hopefully the game will come to the Nintendo Switch. We learned that the Apple Arcade Zelda-style game Oceanhorn 2, that was originally an exclusive for the Apple Arcade, will be coming to the Nintendo Switch this fall. I played that on the Apple Arcade, and I will say, for an Apple Arcade game, it wasn't that bad, and it was probably the closest thing to a Zelda-like game on the Apple Arcade. I'm not 100% sure about this coming to the Nintendo Switch, but maybe this one will fare a little bit better. Hopefully this one, to me, it does sound a bit better than the Elder Scrolls Blades that Bethesda brought over to the Nintendo Switch, which I thought was just a waste for them to even bring that game over when you could play Skyrim, which I think is a better game than Elder Scrolls Blade and all. We also learned that SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom basically has sold over 1 million units, so THQ is certainly happy though. Obviously a lot of people like that game, especially those who have fond memories of it and consider it like the best SpongeBob game, and having played it myself, I will say as far as a licensed video game go, it's certainly one of the better licensed video games out there, that's for certain. We also learned that a new squad-based shooter called G.I. Joe Operation Blackout is going to be coming on the Switch on October 13th. It will also be coming to other systems as well. I recently saw the trailer, and maybe we'll see how it is. I may have to try it out myself to see if it's really good or not, though, so I'll just somewhat keep an eye on that one, though. We also learned that Oddworld is going to be bringing Oddworld New and Tasty. I believe that's a remake of the original 1997 Oddworld Abe's Odyssey that was released back on the PlayStation. That will be coming over to the Nintendo Switch in October, and supposedly a physical version will happen. We also learned that Shin Megami Tensei 3 HD remaster will feature Dante. However, he is only going to be available as a DLC. I know not everybody will be thrilled with that or anything like that. Supposedly he'll be available when the game is launched in Japan first, with I believe a worldwide release, or at least coming to the West sometime next year and all that stuff. I will say, kind of mixed on this, but it is what it is, unfortunately. And then, of course, we had the big story that broke out on Thursday. That's apparently that Apple, or at least the Epic Games, is suing both Google and Apple over the removal of Fortnite from their storefront, mostly because of the whole different ways you could get in-game currency that's not sitting well with Apple and Google and all that stuff. I'm curious to see how this lawsuit plays out and everything like that. I mean, honestly, I'm not really a big fan of Fortnite though, but I understand it certainly has its appeal. There is certainly an audience out there, and it's going to be interesting who emerged the winner from this lawsuit, whether it will be Epic Games, whether it be Google, or whether it will be Apple and all. Okay, with the quick My 2 cent part out, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with basically DLCs though. Now, DLCs or downloadable content though has a history of being kind of controversial and all. Now, which is true, but at the same time there are ways when DLCs are done correctly, to be exact. Games like Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and the Wii U version of Hyrule Warriors are very good examples of how DLCs can be done in the right way, to be exact though. But at the same time, we've seen companies have abused the practice of DLCs, make no mistake. Whether it's like DLC pre-order bonuses or so forth, we've seen that before. And we've also seen companies like Koei Tecmo, which has been notorious for doing a lot of, well, let's just say, going a little overboard with the DLCs. There were controversies surrounding, I think, one of their Dead or Alive games where they were charging, it was either 60 or $90 for a season pass that pretty much pissed a lot of people off. And Koei Tecmo ain't the only one as well. Even Nintendo was under hot waters when Fire Emblem Echoes came out, which had the 3DS game was like $30 with a season pass that was basically $40 as well. As much as I like Nintendo, they're not immune to any criticism, to be exact. On top of that though, Square Enix is also under fire with some of their questionable DLC practices outside the Spider-Man one though. In several articles from Destructoid though, the first one about from Fairy Tail has basically, quote, Fairy Tail already has over $150 worth of DLCs available. It reads that, quote, Koei Tecmo's anime RPG Fairy Tail may have just launched a week ago, but the publisher has already released an expensive season pass which will bring new characters and content to the anime adaptation just weeks after the base game's arrival. For the sum of around $60, the Fairy Tail Season Pass will add 4 new characters to your venture, along with extreme difficult option and 1 new dungeon. Loin Vasta, Vastia, and Levy McGarden will arrive on August 20, followed by Lisana, Lisanna, and Alfman Stratus on September 3rd. An additional dungeon, A Rift in Time and Space, will round out the content on September 17th. In addition, multiple $40 custom set, which are not included in the Season Pass, that also hit the Steam store. This takes the grand total of Fairy Tail's base game, Season Pass, and custom set somewhere in the regions of $240. Of course, people are entitled to spend their money however they please, but it's yet another example of the Dead or Alive syndrome, which dedicated fans already stumped out $60 to buy the initial products, are squeezed tighter still before the game is barely out of its wrapping. Now, I do want to point out that I have played the Fairy Tail game. I've been playing it on the Nintendo Switch and all that stuff, and I will say my impression of that game so far is it's good. It's not 100% perfect, but I will say it is enjoyable, and I will say as a licensed anime game, I definitely enjoyed this as much as I do with the Sword Art Online, Hollow Realization, and Fatal Bullet games are. That said, I do think it's kind of disgusting what Koei Tecmo is doing with the DLC. I mean, this is literally over the top and all that stuff. I understand game development costs money and all that, but at the same time, there are some times when developers tend to get a little bit too greedy, and it's a little bit outrageous how they are doing this, especially after I think some of the backlash they got from with Dead or Alive when they pulled this kind of stunt. So it's really downright disgusting and all. In fact, the only thing about this DLC that interests me is the additional dungeon, and that that's pretty much it. I mean, I could care less about the cosmetics and all that stuff, but it's just it's utterly ridiculous, though. I mean, look, I like Koei Tecmo. I like some of the games they have put out, though. I like the Neo series and all. I mean, not to mention, I would love for them to bring back Ninja Gaiden and maybe Rygar or Ringback or Crimson Sea. And definitely like when they team up with Nintendo and do stuff like Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors. But yeah, this is utterly ridiculous for Koei Tecmo to do that, to actually squeeze out $150 worth of DLCs, to squeeze out the consumer on this, though. Again, don't get me wrong, DLCs can be a good thing when they are done correctly. Like I said, Witcher 3 and the Wii version of Hyrule Warriors are a good example of this, but this to me just spells greed all over it. And it's not. This isn't the only game, though. The upcoming Marvel's Avengers game has recently becoming less and less of a game I really want to pick up. And apparently, it seems it has to do with this time you can earn costumes VI from if you are basically a Virgin Mobile customers, as if already the controversy with Spider-Man isn't really enough, though. In another article from Destructoid, it reads that, quote, UK network provider Virgin Mobile is allowing its customers access to a beta of Marvel Avengers this week, regardless of whether you have pre-ordered the upcoming Square Enix title. The beta will open to all Marvel Avengers pre-order customers on PS4, and it's invite only to Xbox One and PC players. But if you are a Virgin Media customer, then all you need to do is register your account details on the official Virgin Media site, and you too will be partaking in superhero action on your platform of choice. The beta will run between August 14th to 16th, with preload available from today. In the related news, there appears to be further confirmation that the network provides exclusive skins leaked earlier this week are indeed on a time-exclusive basis, and thus should be made available to all players somewhere down the line. The PC they also revealed the Pacific for playing Marvel Avengers on basically for the PC. They're saying the game launches on September 4th on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Stadia, and the next gen editions are in the work for the PS5, Xbox Series X, and are scheduled to launch in late 2020. Between this and basically the the whole Spider-Man controversy, I just feel less and less interested in playing the upcoming Marvel's Avengers game. Compare that to, I mean, I'm more interested in the Spider-Man Miles Morales coming to the PS5 game over this one. I mean, I enjoyed the Spider-Man PS4 Spider-Man game and the Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Nintendo Switch. Those are more exciting than this. I wasn't sold on it when they showed off the game. I thought maybe they'll make some improvements and all that stuff, but the whole turning it into a Destiny or Anthem and the whole exclusivity with the DLCs and all, it's just, for me, it's just turning me off to getting this game more and more. Maybe when there's a huge discount off the game, I might consider getting it, but right now, my interest in the upcoming Square Enix Marvel Adventure game is really at an all-time low. So overall, this is really a unfortunate, disgusting practice, and shows when some people take DLCs too far and get, maybe, shall we say, a little too greedy, to be exact. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with Xbox Series X, ranging from its launch to the unfortunate announcement in regards of Halo Infinite. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Xbox Series X and the situation regarding of Halo Infinite, though. So I will say, as far as the launch of the Xbox Series X, though, we've now learned from Microsoft that they are planning to launch the system this November, though. I am very curious to see how well this launch will go, because leading up to the launch of the system, they've kind of been under fire from the way they've presented some of their situations and so forth. And not to mention that they're launching the system during a global pandemic with the whole COVID-19. So I'm very curious to see how this whole launch of the system is going to play out when it launches in November 2020, although we don't have a pin down on exactly what day this will be on, to be exact. However, one game that will not be at launch, though, apparently is going to be the game Halo Infinite. This was supposed to be their big launch title, just like how The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was the big launch title for the Nintendo Switch and all. But that game, Halo Infinite, was heavily under criticism because of some of the visuals, which didn't really look like next gen and so forth. Not everyone was happy about it. And apparently it seems as though the game will not be launching when Xbox Series X launches this November. In an article from VentureBeat, it reads that, quote, Microsoft is putting Halo Infinite back in the oven. The publisher announced today that it's publishing the next Halo game into 2021 so that developer 343 Industry can have more time to refine the final product, though. This is a major blow to the Xbox Series X, which is launching in November, according to Microsoft. Halo Infinite was supposed to act as the platform's biggest release at launch. Now, anyone picking up Series X this holiday is going to have to wait. In a message, Microsoft clarified it isn't changing the next generation hardware plan. Chris Lee of 343 Studios had released a message on social media. It reads that, quote, Today I want to share an important Halo Infinite development update with the community. We have made the difficult decision to shift our release to 2021 to ensure the team has adequate time to deliver a Halo game experience that meets our vision. The decision shifts our release is the result of multiple factors that have contributed to development challenges, including the ongoing COVID-related affecting us all this year, which that I can understand, to be exact, given the current situation of the world right now. Anyway, continuing on, I want to acknowledge the hard work from our team at 343 Industry, who have remained committed to making a great game and finding solutions to development challenges. However, it is not sustainable for the well-being of our team or the overall success of the game to ship this holiday. We all know this will be disappointing to many of you, and we all share that sentiment. The passion and support the community has shown over the years has been incredible and inspiring. We want nothing more than to play our games with the community this holiday. The extra time will let us finish the critical work necessary to deliver the most ambitious Halo game ever at the quality we know our fans expect. Thank you for your support and understanding. The article reads that, quote, concluded with, this move is likely for the best. Halo Infinite looked entertaining in its gameplay reveal last month, but many fans criticized the visual style. Additionally, rumors claim that development of the campaign was coming in hot and likely would have had issues at launch. A delay could have avoided a catastrophic first impression of the game that Microsoft wanted to launch for years. So, I will say the decision to delay the game is somewhat mixed to a certain degree. I understand some of the reasons why they're delaying the game. A lot of it is they want to make the extra time to polish out some areas, which is good because I think the quote that goes like, a delayed game is better than a bad game or broken game launch that people remember forever how bad that game is. Again, I apologize, I'm not saying the quote correctly though. And obviously COVID-19 has really thrown a wrench in a lot of game development and all that stuff. So I can understand some things though. That said, not having Halo Infinite as your launch title, it makes as much sense if Nintendo launched the Switch without Breath of the Wild, like their system seller. It just makes it difficult of then making it like, why should I pick up an Xbox Series X when that's not going to have a strong exclusive where basically the PS5 will have with Spider-Man Miles Morales, although there's some debate back and forth about that game and all that stuff, or possibly the upcoming Ratchet and Clank game. So it makes it hard for what is the reason to pick up an Xbox One if you're not going to have like a solid like first party game available at launch. So I would say, as far as the Halo Infinite though, I'm kind of mixed on this decision for 343 Industries, what they're doing with this. I can understand the decision though, but it's still very much mixed indeed. So overall, it's going to be really interesting to see how the Xbox Series X launches this November. How that's going to do. Not only how well it will do during a pandemic that we're facing, but without one of their system seller, without one of their big launch titles to give you a reason to pick up the Xbox Series X. So it's going to be really interesting. And while I will admit Microsoft's approach to Xbox Series X is, in my view, somewhat better than their approach to the Xbox One, I have to say it's sort of been kind of a rough road for them though. And without their big launch title for the Xbox Series X, I'm very curious to see how Microsoft's going to weather this without having like that big game for them to have during the launch of the Xbox Series X. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 3. And this one has to do with several stories regarding Paper Mario, the Origami King, and a random post of a new image of Mario that has raised some speculations about maybe an upcoming remaster of a Mario game, to be exact. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our third part of our My 2 Cent video. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the situation in regards of Paper Mario the Origami King, or Paper Mario in general though. Now, as I'm excuse me, I'm sure most of you are aware Paper Mario the Origami King has come out. I've played the game though, and I'm for now though, after cleaning my first boss battle though, I will say for the moment I'm still enjoying the game and all that stuff. Again, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I'm mixed on the whole battle ring system that they put up, but I'm still enjoying the game nevertheless. That said, there was a report earlier when the game came out of basically several bugs that were found, including one that basically would make it to the point where you had to restart the entire game entirely though. Now, Nintendo has been aware of this, and recently they have announced that they've recently put out a patch for it though. In an article posted on Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, "A few weeks ago, a game-breaking bug was discovered in Paper Mario the Origami King, which could potentially ruin a player's save progress about 20 to 30 hours into the journey. As we explained at the time, the problem was tied to an area in the game where you visit 4 spas in Shanghai Spa area in order to access the secret 5th spa. Nintendo said it was aware of the issue affecting players and said it would address the situation in a future software update. Version 1.0.1 of the Origami King has now been released, and sure enough, the update resolves this issue. If you already encountered this issue, you now will be able to proceed normally as well. In addition, it resolves the glitch tied to the black shy guy not showing up in the game's gallery though. Basically, version 1.0.1, basically overall fix an issue where you will be unable to enter the Spring of Rainbows in Shanghai Spa. Fix an issue where players were unable to hit the toad on top of the fountain in Shrome City. Fix an issue where Black Shy Guy will not be registered in the gallery of Mushy Champagnon. I apologize if I'm not saying that correctly. Even if you have previously defeated one. Fix an issue in the ninja attraction in which, depending on the state of the player, certain ninja enemies were undefeatable and halted progression. Fix an issue in which the game would occasionally hardlock in the rubber band boss battle. Fix an issue in the battle lab which the score will not properly register after solving 33 or more lineups in the speed ring in the ring trainer. Fix an issue where you could obtain an item from outside a certain coffin in the Temple of Shrooms, Shrooms. This fix also corrects a related area involving the hint for the Love Toad in Toad Town. and fix an issue in Overlook Mountain in which the events of looking up at Overlook Tower will occasionally occur from the bottom of the hill. So, obviously, this is a lot of stuff that they probably address, which, while I wish they had addressed this earlier, or while doing, all the testing and all that stuff, I'm glad that they are addressing the problem. That's the good news. The bad news, however, it turns out that another glitch has been found in Paper Mario in Origami King. And while this one doesn't seem to be as bad as the ones like the famous, like the one where you have to restart your entire game entirely, it is certainly another headache for this game, and I'm hoping Nintendo addresses it though. In another article from Nintendo Life, it reads about a PAL blog that freezes player in Paper Mario Origami King. According to the article, it reads that, quote, a new bug that has potentially to soft lock your copy of Paper Mario the Origami King has reportedly been discovered. Yes, we admit the timing of this news is a tad awkward considering Nintendo only patched multiple other glitches yesterday, but it might at least stop a few people from having to replay a certain section of the game. In Phase 2 of the Boss Sumo Bro rematch location in the Battle Lab, defeating this enemy with a PAL block before defeating the Sumo Brothers will freeze the game. You will lose a significant chunk of process and be forced to redo the entire battle. As explained by Gaming Reinvented, once this happened, all you could do is watch the background animation play over and over while the boss music continues to loop until you close the game and restart it. Hopefully Nintendo can patch this out ASAP. So while it doesn't sound as bad as the infamous, the Shanghai, the rainbow thing though, it is unfortunate though, and it does make you kind of wonder. Did Nintendo test any of this stuff out before they put this game out, to be exact? And all that. It's just very weird that now we're seeing this new bug or anything like that. It doesn't sound as bad as it doesn't seem like it sounds like you have to restart from the beginning of the game, but it is still annoying, and hopefully Nintendo is aware of this and they can address this problem though. But still, I still believe that Nintendo, there is a level of criticism towards them overlooking a lot of this stuff, and it really is unfortunate though, because right now I'm enjoying the game and all that stuff, and it's very unfortunate when people discover this and you have to put out a warning out there, and it is. I just hope Nintendo addresses this though. Continuing on with Paper Mario though, it seems as though that in terms of future entries into the Paper Mario series, it looks like they're going to continue to take a different approach for each game, despite not everyone being pleased with some of the approach Nintendo has taken with Paper Mario. Some people wanted to go back to, the 1,000-year door approach, the traditional RPG and all. I don't completely disagree with that. But in an article from Nintendo Enthusiast, it reads that the producer of Paper Mario plans to innovate despite harsh criticism. According to the article, it reads that, quote, the Paper Mario franchise has evolved quite a bit since its debut 20 years ago. The N64 and GameCube entries were RPGs, but since then, Intelligent Systems has been shaking things up. Each new entry has overall the battle system of the last, with mixed results. Speaking to PC Games, the producer of the series discussed the risk involving this level of experiment, including harsh criticisms from players. The producer of the Paper Mario series says, quote, when we implement a new or unique system into the game, we have no idea if the players will like or not until the game is released. As such, there's always a certain amount of risk when implementing a new system. However, when you try to avoid such risk, it's impossible to surprise or impress players, in my opinion. When you fail, you will be criticized harshly, something I've experienced myself lately. Still, it's one of the core principles as game designers to take on challenges even if they're associated with certain risk. And the article reads that, quote, despite occasional waves of harsh criticism, the producer of the Paper Mario is not deterred in its approach. As he explained in the interview, he looks to make each Paper Mario game unique and innovative. This includes reworking the battle system for each new release, for better or for worse. Origami King has the highest average review score of any game in the series since the 1,000 Years Door. So it seems that the series is finally starting to trend back towards a positive and respective fan base. That says, it doesn't sound like those hoping for a true return reform will ever get their wish, though. So I'm kind of mixed on this one. I understand that they want to innovate and try new things and all that stuff, but at the same time, I can see why a lot of people want to go back to, like the RPG approach, like what, the Paper Mario on the N64 or the Thousand Year Door was on the GameCube and all that stuff. So I'm very mixed on them continuing to experiment with new things. Sometimes their experiments work, sometimes it doesn't always work out as well. I mean, the Star Fox series is a good example. I think Nintendo has tried to experiment with some new ideas, and not every single idea works out as well. Force motion controls on the gamepad for the Star Fox Zero for the Wii U, and well, let's just say that made things worse rather than make it better for that game. So I'm very mixed on their decision to sort of experiment with the Paper Mario series. I understand to some degree they want to try new things and make things certainly unique, but I also think sometimes they could also end up alienating people, and I can see why people would love to see a return to, like the Thousand Years Doors or Paper Mario for the N64. Although I wouldn't mind both of those games getting remastered or remade for the Switch. I would be down with that indeed. So very mixed on this one in terms of their direction they want to go with the Paper Mario series. And last but not least, though, I do want to point out that Nintendo of UK recently posted a photo of Mario, and it looks like, in terms of him, lying in the beach and all that stuff. This has started to raise speculations of possibly a brand new, possibly a remaster of Super Mario Sunshine, or the rumored Mario 3D collection, though. In another article from Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, "Once again, Nintendo has unintentionally, or perhaps intentionally, teased fans into thinking a new Super Mario Sunshine release is in the card. Both the official Europe and UK Nintendo Twitter account has shared a new render of Mario enjoying his time in the sunshine today, like owning the fact that the UK and many parts of Europe are currently enjoying some pretty interesting heat. Even though this new render has been doing the rounds for a few days now, the replies to the tweets are something to behold. It seems plenty of fans believe the post to be a nod towards Super Mario Sunshine sequel, or perhaps a hint that the rumored 35th anniversary remasters are soon to be revealed. Some will be joking, of course, but it's all causing quite a stir." The article reads a quote, Now we wouldn't be doing our job properly without telling you that Nintendo appears to be releasing a new render of Mario each summer, regardless of any potential upcoming games. Indeed, when Nintendo releases its new summer render this time last year, you even had a cheek mention of the word sunshine in the photo caption, and yes, the internet went wild then. So does this new image mean that sunshine-related announcement is coming this time? Well, we'll argue that it's completely unrelated, although it's hard to believe that Nintendo would be unaware of the madness that last year's image caused, though. So as far as the image, though, it could mean anything. It could be just them just teasing and all that stuff. But with rumors about rumors about a remastered 3D Mario collection and all, it wouldn't be surprising me if they're just teasing, and all that. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that this is sort of building up for that announcement, to be exact. As far as, it could be, we could see something like an actual remaster of Super Mario Sunshine, or hell, we could see maybe an actual Super Mario Sunshine 2. Mario Galaxy got a sequel with Super Mario Galaxy 2, so I can't see how that can't work with Sunshine, though. So for now, we'll have to wait and see. Again, it could mean anything. It could mean a build up to that 3D collection, or it may not mean anything at all. It's just them possibly just posting something out there. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 4. And this one has to do with EA and an interesting decision some people have made in regards of what the CEOs in terms of getting their bonuses and all. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 4 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at an interesting development that has popped up with EA in particular. Now, I'm sure everyone knows about EA's reputation and so forth. This is a company that has been known to put out games that don't always sit very well with a lot of folks, whether it's games like the whole situation with SimCity, to basically, the situation with Anthem that we are dealing with right now, and Battlefield 5 and all that stuff. And, the push for heavy recurring user spending and monetizations and so forth and all that stuff. Not to mention their handling of the Star Wars license, especially Battlefront 2, and the amount of controversy that has been out there though. Well, a recently interesting development has came out in regards of EA, particularly its CEOs and all that stuff, and in terms of basically them getting bonuses and so forth. And it looks like Shareholders has recently voted against executives raising their bonuses and all that stuff. In an article from VG 24/7, it reads that, quote, "A majority of EA shareholders have voted against EA's proposed compensation package for its top executive. Earlier in July, the CTW Investment Group, one of EA's pro-labor shareholders, urged investors to vote against the Say on Pay proposal. Had it passed, the proposal would have given EA complete control over how well it compensates its top executives outside of their salaries. The annual shareholder meeting in question took place last Thursday, August 6th, and CTW argument has seemingly worked, convincing 68% of shareholders to reject the executive pay proposal. Over 171 million votes were cast against it, compared to the 59.6 million in favor, according to a regulatory SEC financial filing made the same week. Although the idea to vote against was proposed by CTW, other investor groups such as Institutional Shareholder Service Inc., Glass Lewis and Company, the California Public Employee Retirement System, and several others agreed, hence the overwhelming results. Shareholders issue a resonantly rebuttal of EA's deeply flawed executive pay practice that does not incentivize exclusives to create long-term value, said CTW Executive Director. The vote is a Clarion, CLARION, call for the board to stop piling awards on top of awards for top executives and to make sure the company develops a pay philosophy that is focused on talent developer and retention throughout all levels of company. CTW July's letter called out the executives equality grant EA tends towards top brass, with CFO Blake Jorgenstein. Apologize if I'm not saying the name though. And CTW Kenneth Mott specifically mentioned. Prior to that, CTW also demanded Activision investors do the same, as it believes CEO Bobby Cox is paid too much, which, from what I understand, that one didn't exactly pass and all. So, basically hearing that, I think it's good and all that stuff. I mean, especially after you hear stories of like what Activision Blizzard did, especially with their CEO, because they didn't make all the money in the world, so they had to lay off several employees to meet their bottom ends while giving themselves a bonus and all that stuff. I think this is good. I think that we've seen how some CEOs out there have gotten maybe a little too greedy and all that stuff, in terms of we have to make all the money in the world, not some of the money and all that place. So I would say kudos to the shareholders for standing up and basically telling these CEOs, no, you're not, no, we won't tolerate this. We won't accept this though. It's a shame, unfortunately, it did not pass with Activision Blizzard, because I think it should have. I think to send a clear message to its CEO though, but I am very pleased with the fact that the the shareholders voted against executives raising their bonus. So overall, I think this is a good thing. I do hope it maybe puts pressure on, say, companies like Activision Blizzard, and hopefully those shareholders will vote to do that against the CEO there, though. I mean, I think this is a very, very good thing, though. It gives the impression, so to me, I think it's really good. So overall, great that these shareholders did this. This is a very, very good thing indeed. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fifth and final part. And this one has to do with WB Games, ranging from what Rocksteady could be working on next to the whole situation with WB Games in terms of being sold off or anything like that. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fifth and final part of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at WB Games. Now, sometime earlier this year, though, or at least recently, though, there have been reports that were coming out that Warner Brothers was thinking of selling their game division parts, though, part of a sort of a restructuring in the financial parts of sort of things. Some of the reports range from like Take-Two, Electronic Arts, even going as far as Microsoft possibly buying WB Games, though. Well, apparently it seems as though that as of right now, WB Games is not up for sale. In an article from Game Industry Buzz, it reads that, quote, though, WB restructuring suggests games division is no longer for sale. Internal message reaffirms interactive segment will continue engaging fans with our brand and franchise throughout games. It reads that, quote, plans to sell off interactive entertainment division of WB Games, may have been abandoned according to an internal communication. A message sent by the Warner Media CEO to all employees on Fridays details organizational change that seems to confirm video games remain a key pillar of the business. In the message, which has since been posted to Warner's media press site, the CEO, that Warner Bros. Interactive remains part of the studio and network group along with other segments for the company. All of these are focused on engaging fans with our brands and franchise throughout games and other interactive experience. The message follows reports in June that Warner's parent AT&T was in talks to sell Warner Bros. Interactive with a deal set to be worth around $4 billion. The game division included numbers of studios including Rocksteady Games, Traveling Tale Games, NetherRealm Studios, Monolith Production, Avalanche Software, plus internal WB Game studios in Boston, Montreal, New York, San Diego, and San Francisco. Potential buyers included Activision Blizzard, Electronic Arts, and Take-Two Interactive, according to a report at the time. Further evidence that Warner Bros. Interactive is continuing as planned was Rockstar's long-awaited confirmation that it's working on a Suicide Squad games. More details will be unveiled on Saturday, August 22nd. As well in the message, the CEO of Warner Media says it also talked about now prior to pushing the streaming service HBO Max and simplifying how studios are organized and all. So it looks as though that basically Warner Brothers, WB Games, is not going anywhere anytime soon. So it looks like Warner Brothers will still continue, to develop and possibly publish games and all, which is certainly good and all that stuff. It's nice to see that they're going to continue on as planned and all that stuff. Obviously, there are going to be some changes though, but at least for now, it doesn't seem like WB Games is not for sale at this time. Could that change down the road? There's always that possibility, but for now, that's not going to happen. Meanwhile, it seems as though, as mentioned in the Game Industry Biz report, though, it seems as though we now have an idea of what Rocksteady, the developers of the Batman Arkham series, is now working on, and apparently it is basically a Suicide Squad game. In an article from Push Square, it reads that, quote, reads Rockstar confirms Suicide Squad is its next game. The article reads, quote, wow, that came absolutely out of nowhere. Rocksteady Studio has announced that it is developing a Suicide Squad game with details to be shared at DC Fandom later this month. The studio took to Twitter to confirm its swirling rumors with the tagline, Target locked on DC Fandom August 22nd, #Suicide Squad. It's speculation to be believed. This is somewhat early in development and is a next generation exclusive title. It won't come to the PS4, although I've heard it will also be possibly coming to the Xbox Series X. We'll learn more at DC Fandom on the 22nd, August 2020, and so forth. So we'll basically learn about it though. The fact that they're doing a Suicide Squad game, I'm both excited but also concerned at the same time. I'm excited because it's being developed by Rocksteady that did produce the really good, the Arkham series though, although there are some people that weren't happy with Arkham Origins or the PC version of Arkham Knights and all that stuff. But it is nice that they are basically working on this new game though. I'm hoping it's as good as what the Arkham series was, especially with its free-roaming combat. At the same time, I am also worried it could turn into a situation we're seeing with Square Enix Marvel's Avengers, where that game has started to turn into a live service and the whole DLC, exclusive DLCs and all that stuff, which I really hope that's not what Suicide Squad's going to be, though. I really want it to be more in line with what the Arkham series is, more than what Square Enix is, basically is what Square Enix is doing with the Avengers game. I'm also curious to see about the Suicide Squad game. Will it take place in the same universe as the Batman Arkham series was, or is it completely in a different kind of universe and all that stuff? And judging by that picture that they showed, though, it looked like it had a picture of Superman in it. And will we see any other DC characters as well, along with Suicide Squad, or not, or anything like that? So I'm a little curious exactly whether this takes place in the Arkham universe or not. So we still have to hear more information. Hopefully by August 22nd, we'll learn about it though. So I would say overall, glad that WB Games isn't for sale. I think that's really nice though. Although it would have been interesting what would happen to those IPs if WB Games was officially sold. Whether they choose to put it up for sales down the road or not, that remains to be seen. But for now, it doesn't look like it's up for sale. As for the Suicide Squad game, or basically what they're teasing, what they're working on, I'm both, like I said, I'm excited and concerned. Excited that being that it's developed by Rocksteady that did the really good, the Arkham series, but at the same time, worried it could be like what we're seeing with Square Enix Avengers game, where they're trying to push for a live service and heavy monetization, and that kind of worries me a little bit. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the situation with the Marvel's Avengers DLC situation and the Fairy Tail DLC situation, though? Do you think some of these developers are getting a little too greedy? Do you think they're getting a little bit overboard with the whole situation with the DLC? Or do you think some people are blowing it way out of proportion? What are your thoughts about the Xbox Series X launching this November? Are you looking forward to picking up the system when it launches in November? Are you not looking forward to this? And what about the situation with Halo Infinite being delayed? Do you think it was the right decision to delay this game? Do you think wasn't the right decision at all? Do you think this could have an impact on the launch of Xbox Series X? Or do you see this not having an impact at all? What are your thoughts about the situation with Paper Mario, though? Are you glad that they fixed some of these bugs that were in the game? Are you worried about this new bug that was recently discovered? Do you agree with the Paper Mario producer about shaking things up a little bit with the series, including the battle system? Do you think that's the right call to do? Or do you think they should go back to the more traditional RPG approach, like what Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door is? And what are your thoughts about this random post of Mario like at the beach or anything like that? Do you think this is just some render, just some post Nintendo's just putting out there just for fun? Or do you think this is a sign of not only maybe a remake or a sequel to Super Mario Sunshine, but a sign that we could be seeing the rumored Mario 3D collection announcement is just around the corner? What are your thoughts about the shareholders at EA voting to not raise bonuses for the CEOs at EA, though? Do you think this is the right call? Do you think this is the right thing to do? And what are your thoughts about WB Games in terms of them not being for sale or anything like that? Are you glad that WB Games is not going to be for sale or anything like that, or do you think it would have been interesting to see other companies get a shot at their IPs? And what about the possibility? What about Suicide Squad that Rocksteady is working on? Are you looking forward to this game? Are you hoping it is as good as what the Arkham series is? Or are you worried that it could be the kind of situation we're seeing with Marvel's Avengers, which is starting to more and more turn into sort of a live service kind of approach? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, then I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then.